Hi, this is the second video for my sponsor MHPOWOS. They sent me this foldable PV panel, and after the unboxing video I provide here an explanation of how to use it and a bit of theory about the maximum performance. So it's a kind of video format user manual that tells you how to get the most of it. In this video I will start with the user case, where this kind of product, the PV panel, is really like a fish in the water, and where you can get the most benefit. It's a mobile application, and in addition you will get also maybe its first experience with PV energy in the first place. It is a situation where many of you are in. You are in an apartment without solar system on the roof, maybe because it's in a big building with many apartments and you have not your own roof, but you might have two sides of the house, for example on the east and the west. Maybe you have a front and a back garden, or maybe you have a front and a back balcony, or even a window. Now you have the possibility to use one simple panel to harvest energy. That's 100 kilowatt hours in a year, or 2000 kilowatt hours in the whole lifetime of the panel. And that from any position, and even store it in a compatible battery, just by plugging it in. Of course, the battery must be light and easy and practical to connect to the PV panel, because otherwise, if you use it every day, it will be a burden, and you will also be covered in a case of a blackout with this practice. Now, without further explanation, we will see this user case, and then we will see some of the how and why of the maximum performance of this panel. Because we are now in a video about a kind of user manual of this panel, and this is a typical use of this panel. Bring it away, as you can bring away also this battery, this portable power station, and that is a typical user case. In 4 hours it went to 81%. I put it the set point at 90%, not 100%, because it's better for the battery. And why is it only 6 watts if it's not full? That's because the sun went to the other side of the house. You see it? The sun has gone to the other side of the house. So what can we do now? It's a very flexible panel. I can just close it, fold it, and bring this and this to the other side of the house. They are both portable. And there we go. So the sun is still coming from that side, from the house side, and I put the battery in the shadow of the panel.
so to speak.
It's now registering 40 watt. We have to put it a little bit more flat, parallel with the Earth surface because the sun is very high. It's now 60 volts. Oh, it's now 60 volts. Anyway, we saw that at the start of the day, at 8:30 or so, the battery was at 4% and is now at about 83% already. So let's say that 80% in 4 hours. That's not bad. Let's say that we made in 4 hours 240 watt hours. I think that at the end of the summer day we can reach to 0.35 to 0.4 kilowatt hour. And if you then calculate that with overcast weather, as we saw on the beach before, we had already 30 watt and now it's 60 watt. So let's say we can talk about 45 watt. And it may seem a little bit in comparison with 110 watt. And I must say, okay, it's true. It's maybe not in the conditions it was tested in laboratory. For example, it's 25 degrees. That's with every panel. So at the end of the day, in the summer day, we have 0.4 or 0.35 kilowatt hour. And let's say that in winter, as you saw, that this panel has good properties in overcast weather. Then in the winter we could have 150 watt hours or 200. In this way we come to this calculation as you see here on a blackboard. It's now at 90%, so it will not give any more. I see here still 13 watts going into the battery, but it stops here. Another typical user case is that, well, it's maybe a little bit a special application, but I wanted to a direct connection between the panel and the user. And this user can be, for example, a pump. It can be some resistance wire to heat up a sand battery, as you see also in other videos, which I make this last time. You can use it for the pump to pump water. As soon as there is some store energy, gravitational energy of the water, pump up water, and then from there it falls down to the users, and then you don't need a pump anymore. So that's also a kind of energy storage with electrical batteries. And there I wanted also talk about the maximum power point tracking, and that's a kind of technology that you put the panel always in its optimal working conditions, power, which is a multiplication of the current and the voltage. Take current from it, more or less, and the voltage will, as a consequence, adapt itself in base of the current. So you can change the current and then trace a kind of diagram, and then you see this, what you see here on the screen now, and then you have a complete voltage current curve, and that for each situation of irradiation.
And now I wanted to bring the panel in the best point where you have the largest product multiplication value of the voltage and the current, which is the power. Usually you have power point tracking in all kind of solar charge regulators, as is also in this PPS, in this portable power station. Okay, that's a special user case. I think I will do it in the next video, because now we have already two cases. One of the PPS and the other user case is, as I said, the direct consumption of the solar energy. And then I wanted to show that with the wire, which I'm actually using for the sand battery, it's a resistance wire that is without insulation, so you can put the current at any point over this wire, and then you can select your resistance by putting the clamp on one or the other place of the wire. And putting the clamp in one or the other place, you have also another resistance, and by choosing this resistance you can also choose the point, the power point where you are working with this panel, and in this way look where you have the most power. And you saw on this panel, on the specifications, that there is a voltage point, maximum voltage point, maximum power. The voltage point where the panel will be at maximum power, and that is, according to the specifications, is 20 volt. And then you have the ampere. If the sun is at its optimal power point, then this current will be, according to the specifications, 5.5 ampere. So, and then you have 5.5 times 20 that's 110 watt. So after all, we can say that we are not happy with the underperformance, because it's not arriving at 110 watts. Is over expectation that has been born in the market, that they say panel has so and so much watts peak production. Well, that is like as the market has been grown. But if we see how much this panel can produce in 20 years, and if we then see how much it costed itself, and we spread that over all the kilowatt hours which this panel is able to make in this 20-year time of life, then we combine it also with the portable power storage, which has also a price which costs more or less 3 times as expensive as the panel itself. So then you have like 350 or 400 euros, and that you have then to spread this investment over all these kilowatt hours that you make in its lifetime. And then you come to certain price per kilowatt hour of produced electricity. Okay, then you can say the battery, the PPS, is not so long-lived as the panel, so maybe it will not live 20 years. But even if you look to the cycles, it makes all the cycles that they promise, it could arrive also to more or less this same 20 years. And then you see a price per kilowatt hours, which is quite competitive with what you buy from the grid.